Hey guys, Brad here at Primetime Sports Performance here in Mount Prospect. Today we're going to talk about the squat. So we're going to go through a few levels of the squat and understand the proper technique, maybe some of the proper cueings that you might need to know when you are performing the squat, whether in another facility. In my facility, I'm a firm believer in teaching the movements and having you understand the why behind any of the exercises. So let's go over the basic bodyweight squat. So ideally we want to set our feet shoulder width, okay? And ideally, again, we want to set our toes straight ahead. So our ankles, knees, and hips are in alignment. One of the biggest things we fail to look at sometimes is that posture. So sometimes as a coach, I might change your squatting movement based on how your posture looks. But let's go into foot contact. We want to make sure we have a lot of pressure on those heels, but also on that big toe. We want that weight evenly distributed amongst your foot. That's going to create for better push-off, for better ground force, or able to push force into the ground so force comes back up and enable us to propel ourselves upward. The next thing we look at our knees. So a good squat, toes forward. You can also, many of you have heard me do this before, 1 o'clock and 11 o'clock with your feet if you do not have good ankle mobility. So somebody like me, I have poor ankle mobility. I need to tilt my toes out just a little bit to allow my hips to open up due to my weak ankles or my lack of mobility in my ankles. Another thing you can do is add plates to the bottom of your feet. So it raises your heels up, much like somebody wearing Olympic lifting shoes where you have a little heel height. It increases a little bit of range of motion for your feet. So first thing we're going to look at is our position of our ankle, knees, and hips. When I squat down, I want to make sure my knees are tracking in front, right at the toe or just behind. If it goes in front of the toe, we used to always think that was bad. It's not necessarily bad as long as the foot stays flat, the heel is not coming up, and there is no pain. Okay, so one of the big things we see sometimes is what's called collapsing of the knees or valgus, right? We'll squat down, we dip our knees in, and as we come back up, we go ahead and rotate them back out. Many people don't know they're doing that. So one of the first levels we'll do, what I like to do, is place a band around above the knees. And I'm going to put this on. We want to make sure it's above the knees. Again, same foot position. And what the band does, it reminds us to keep tension. So normal foot position, again, toes forward at 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock, eyes are up, chest are up. We're going to go ahead and drive our hips back, drive our knees out. Now I'm forcing tension on this band. If I was to collapse my knees like I was previous without the band, you would see and I would feel that tension of the band release or not have as much tension as if I was driving that out. So that's kind of a level one. We do a bodyweight squat with band. As we get good at this, we can take the band off and say if we're doing 12 reps, do 6 reps with the band, 6 reps without the band. So not only are we teaching ourselves, reminding ourselves when the band is on to drive those knees out and get good alignment, when we take this band off, hopefully neuromuscularly speaking, our body still feels like it's still getting tension on the band or putting tension, and you're starting to learn that movement pattern. So that's something you can do for yourselves. The second level, we'll get rid of the band. The second level would be a sumo squat, and previous to a goblet squat. And the reason is very simple. One, it's easier to pick stuff off the floor, okay, and create a good posture. And two, when you're in the goblet position, say we're squatting down, a lot of times we do one of these things. We bend forward or hip hinge way too much forward, and that allows for poor core and also can hurt our low back. So the sumo squat is a great movement, and we can do this obviously with a kettlebell, a barbell, but obviously if we're talking about squatting, we're going to go ahead and do this with a kettlebell. We're going to have our feet outside of our hip width. So you see I create a nice base here. Tilt those toes out, 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And now when we squat down, we're going to put our hands right on our legs here. We're going to slide down. That kettlebell's between our legs, eyes up, chest up. Push and squeeze the glutes and quads, and when we get up to the top, nice and tall. Let me show you from the side. Feet outside the hip, eyes up, chest up. We're going to go ahead and squat down, pick up, and squeeze, zipper tall. What we do not want to see is when we go to squat down, the kettlebell too far in front. So if it's out in front of us, we're going to have the tendency to do this. And look at my back, we're in a bad position. We're going to end up hinging instead of pulling. We want to pull our body up. So again, over the kettlebell. And another thing we do not want to see is as we pick this up, when we get to the top here, is arch our back. Okay, we want to get up, and what I like to say is zipper tall. We're going to push through our heels, get up, Get nice tall, zipper tall, quads locked out, glutes locked out, core locked out, okay? And then we'll come back to our starting position. So that's the essential, a little bit of cues for the sumo deadlift. We then transition to either a goblet if I feel like your posture is okay, or a band. The band is simply around your feet, and we'll hold that position. But let's talk about the goblet squat, one of the most used exercises in all of fitness. We see this all the time, no matter what facility. It's a great movement. It's also a very good beginner movement. Once we feel like we have a good posture, good core stabilization, good ankle, knee, and hip alignment, and everything is tracking in a good motor pattern, okay? So the goblet squat, we're gonna hold the kettlebell by the horns. I'll get a little closer look here. We'll hold the kettlebell by the horns here. Again, feet alignment, shoulder width, either toes pointed out, 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock, or forward. I'm gonna go pointed out. Now the kettlebell is going to be off the waist, and I'll get a side view for you guys in a second. We're gonna go ahead and sit back, drive our knees out, get in a good position, push through our heels, zipper tall, quads locked out, glutes locked out, core locked out. So let's go ahead and take this from the side. Again, feet shoulder width, or 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Eyes up, chest are up. We're going to go ahead and squat, drive those knees out. Pause for a second, push, and get up nice and tall. The question lies intensity. So how do I know how much I should lift? And that's really dependent on your coach. I like to start off slow and progress. I don't like to take weights away. I like to add weights. I want to always make sure that my movement check is okay. So I might start, if we have 3 sets, I might start at a little bit of weight. It's also tracking your weights. It's very important that you track your progression. If you're not given a sheet for your workouts and stuff, I would severely ask your coach for a sheet to track your progress, no matter if you're in a group setting or if you're in a small group setting. We want to make sure that you're tracking your weights. With that being said, we should try to bump up each time. Another way to also increase intensity is your tempo. So tempo is essentially how long it takes you to perform the movement, how long you rest during the middle of the movement, and how long it takes you to get back up from that movement. So we're talking about squatting. Typically, I'll just do a bodyweight squat. You're typically going 1, 2, 3, 1 second, 1. So I might do a 3-1-1 tempo. We might do a 3-0-1 tempo. Would be 1, 2, 3, 0, 1. Okay, where there's no rest at the bottom phase. Eccentrics, when learning a new movement, which is that first number there, how long it takes to get into that bottom position, or the lengthening of muscle, is a phenomenally prescribed movement or intensity to any exercise. You can do that with any exercise, from a bridge to a hamstring curl to an RDL to a bench press to a dumbbell press. You can change your intensity or tempo any way you wish, and eccentrics is one of the best ones. A true eccentric can be anywhere from 3 to 10 seconds. All your movements should start at about 3 seconds. That's your base tempo. Okay, so when we increase that, maybe go 5 seconds, now we're increasing that intensity over a longer period of time. So that is kind of the 3 levels from the goblet squat, where you go from body weight, band if we have a poor knee positioning, or we're not stressing out the ankles. Stressing on the ankles enough and making sure that those are mobile. So we might go ahead and put plates on our feet or bands around our knees. To a sumo squat or sumo deadlift, depends on how you phrase it or how your coach phrase it, where we go ahead and place the posture as the number 1 feature, and making sure that the posture is there before we start loading the front of your body. Because when you start loading the front of your body with that goblet, you have a tendency to do this if it's too heavy. So we always want to progress. We never want to try to regress our clients. Again, track your stuff. It's important you ask your coach if you could write stuff down, or maybe get to the facility early and understand what the workouts are. You should have the workouts readily available for you so you understand what the week is going into it. Here at Primetime Sports Performance, we use an app on our phone. We also have folders with every client's workout, and then we also have it on the computer as well. So clients are very well aware of where they are at. Weight-wise, they can track it themselves on their phone, on their app, or they can go ahead and look at the folder and take it home for the weekend. So, again, guys, remember a couple cues, right? Distribute weight around the feet. So, big toe, heel, midfoot. We want to have good pressure all around. We want our feet either at forward, even with our ankle, knees, and hips going straight in alignment, or 1 o'clock and 11 o'clock, like the clock. Track those knees over the toes. Pause for a second, drive up, zipper tall, locking out our quads, hamstrings, and our core, making sure our posture is nice and tall, not leaning forward, but we're right here pressing through our whole body. That is the essence of the squat. There's a couple levels for you guys. Have a great day. If you're interested in Primetime Sports Performance, www.primetimesp.com. Thank you so much, guys.